Yep. Welcome to the Epson Tour's 2024 Carlisle, Arizona Women's Golf Classic on GK Live TV. The weather is perfect out here in the desert, sunny and right around 90 degrees. For the wind today is going to be gusting up to 23 miles an hour all afternoon. I am Katie Woodruff, and I will be your host today. We are here at the TPC Scottdale's Champions Course in Scottsdale, Arizona, and we could be in for a shootout today. Our very generous sponsor, the Carlisle Group, has gotten itself quite an exciting moving day in this third round. Let's get to the leaderboard and see where we're at. At the top, we've got Dana Fall. This is as of this morning. This is before the first round. Dana Fall is still at the top. Swing Liu close behind her in second. And to be honest, I would be watching out for Swing Liu. I talked to her former college coach, Ryan Potter, this morning, and he said she's an extremely explosive player. Birdies can come in bunches. She's a very long player, and she can get to most of the par fives. So I'd watch for her as it's playing really windy today. Next, we have Clarice Gousset, 10 under. Cumcake Park, Michelle Zhang, Maddie McCrary, Marielle Galdiano, Pauline De Rosario, and Riley Renault all at 9 under. While winning this week's Arizona Women's Golf Classic, it's important to every player out here. While we certainly know what the race for the card is in the back of everyone's mind, last week Madison Young used her win at the Casino del Sol to grab 500 points in the lead in the race for the card. A season-long points competition in which the Epson Tour members accumulate points in every official Epson Tour event. The ultimate goal is to finish in the top 15 in the point standings and earn that elusive LPGA Tour membership for the 2025 season. The winner of this card is really consistent. It's about consistency throughout the year to get this going. We're only a couple events this year so far, but last year, the winner who won the Carlisle Women's Golf Classic, Gabby Ruffles, won 3 times and received her LPGA card in the middle of the season for this. It's a very competitive year-long race, and everyone is aware of it, and everyone wants to be in that top 15 by the end of the year. So finishing top 5, top 10 really gets you a lot of points. It's really important to just be consistent each week. And all of these really important numbers come into play right here in the scoring tent. Checking your card each day. Here in the tent, it's taken for granted sometimes, and errors can happen all the time here, but the pressure of going over your card and making sure it's signed correctly is really key. We saw Jordan Spieth weeks ago sign an incorrect scorecard, so making sure, however you finish the round, that you go over your card, check it multiple times, and get 2 signatures on there. It's easy to forget sometimes, especially when your emotions are really high. Let's go out to the action on 15 green, the par 3 that's playing about 155 yards today. The tees have been moved up today to 155. The wind is from the west today, which means this hole is playing a little longer. Wind's out of the left. Pin is back right. And we will be right back with more on GK Live TV.
Head down. Water down the left, bunker down the right. Take the club straight back.
Wandering minds.
When golfers lose their focus, they're totally...
War! But Bridgestone can help.
Introducing Mindset. The ball's scientifically designed to keep you focused.
First, identify your target.
Next, visualize your shot path.
And then focus on the green dot and smooth one.
Play the new Tour B with Mindset technology.
You see what happens when we work together? Stuff like that.
Let's go out to 16 green, the par 4. This hole's playing around 376 today. This hole, the wind dead into us, front pin, only 6 on, 4 off the right. As you can see by that flag stick, sure is blowing. This hole only need to hit something about 100 and to have 120 yards in. It's only playing like 220, 230 off the tee, so they're probably coming in with their 9 irons or pitching wedges with this wind into their face. Front pin as well. Should see some birdies on this hole today. Looks like there's a little bit of a backstop behind this pin, which could soften the blow a little bit. Sure is playing firm today as well. We're here on 15T. Par 3, again, this hole's playing 155. Wind should be straight out of the left. For these girls, it's typically probably a 7 or 6 iron. This pin's all the way back, 27 on, 3 from the right. So with as firm as they are, she's probably landing this 5 or 6 short and letting it roll out ideally. This is Jazzy Sun teeing off here at 15. Jazzy Sun is 2 over on her round today. Looks like she likes it. Jay-Z's having 2 on her day. Just made a birdie on her last hole, though. We'll be right back with more on GK Live TV. Welcome back. We are on the 16th hole. Looks like we have Sue putting for par. Back down the hill. Should be a fairly straight putt. Could be quick. And she made it. She sure needs these pars. She's even on her round today. It's a good save there. Now we have Kim Kaufman also putting for par. Looks around 8 feet. Should go a little to her right. Kim Kaufman is one of those that's eyeing the race for the card. She's currently sitting in 9th on that race for the card points list. And today she is 1 over on her round and makes that par. As she heads to the 17th. She is 2 over on her back 9 today. Needs some birdies coming in. So we have Jazzy Sun here in the fairway on 16. This is her second shot. She is having a rough day today. 2 over on her round today. These gusts could sure be getting some of these guys this afternoon, especially in these last couple holes, straight into the wind. This course is it's a different course in the morning and the afternoon. These girls started in the morning and then seen the course firm up this afternoon. Completely different, especially coming into the greens. The greens really firm out here in the desert. So really having to adjust your landing spots. As I said, the landing they really have to adjust. So landing it, figuring out a good landing spot, even with this wind. She's going to have a quick putt down the hill. Let's go back to Madison Young, our last week's winner and the current leader on the race for the card points list. Looks like she probably only has 120 or so in. The edge of the fairway is just on 20, so front pin today should be only a 9-iron or so for her. Madison's 1 under on her round today. Looks like she might have missed the green here. Probably not her best from only 120 yards out or so. So this hole's got a lot of character here on the green. Yesterday's round, the pin was more back, so really having to think about landing. But when the pin's front like this, it's hard to really land it short coming in, especially into the wind with maybe more of a flighted ball. So having to really get a good yardage with landing is important. For the normal population, this hole plays 14th on the difficulty list in the scorecard. But with this wind and the firmness, sure does change things. Looks like Madison's just off the front. Should be a pretty basic chip or putt. Looks like she might have her wedge. These are the ones these players feels like they might be able to make. As you can see, she's doing aim point, checking the break. This putt should be downhill a little bit, breaking to her right. Should be pretty quick. Having to consider putting downwind as well is something that most amateurs might not consider, but especially out here in the desert, the wind can really affect even the smallest putt. So birdie putt here. Good putt there from O. Great speed. Should have a tap in par there. Now Madison Young here for her birdie. Looks like she is going to go with the putter. This should be back up the hill. If anything, going to her right a little bit. The hard part about this is making sure she gets the ball started on line. The green. She gave it a run. Looks like just missed there. Should be easy par. Again, Madison Young's coming up for birdie on 13. Wonder on her round today. It's a big par for her as she tries to maintain the #1 spot in the race for the card points list. So this is one of 2 events on the Epson Tour that actually plays 72 holes, 4 rounds with a cut. This one in the Tour Championship, all the other ones are just 33 rounds, 54 holes. All the champions from this event have gone on to play on the LPGA, including last year's winner, Gabby Ruffles. And then 2 other players who have won this in the past, also who have played on the LPGA and have their card. Rushin Liu, who goes by Rachel. She is sitting in the top 5. Let's go back down to the fairway here on 16. This is Kim Kaufman here hitting her second shot on 16 fairway. Looks like she does not like that. Drop the club immediately. Looks like she's just off the edge there. As you can see, that wind is still whipping there. No balls in the green here. We saw Kim drop her club there. Looks like she's walking to the right. She's definitely short-sided here. She's going to have a tough chip. This looks like she's only got this pin is only 4 on from the right. So her having to really get a good landing spot here. It looks like she might putt it or go low. She might even have a hybrid in her hand here, wanting to run it up. When the greens are really firm like this, it's really hard to rely on spin to stop it. So either playing a really high soft shot or banking it up the hill like it's about to do. Looks like Sun missed the green as well here on the left side. She used her hybrid and looks like it was a pretty good shot. About 5 feet down the hill. Definitely take that from that spot. Let's take a look at an updated leaderboard through this afternoon. Dana Fall here is still at the top, even though she has made a bogey in on her second hole. Kum Kang Park and Swing Lu right on her heels. Again, I'd watch out for Swing Lu. She can definitely get hot. Rendell and Zhang in third, or 2 back. The leader, we got 2 players at 9 under, including a former winner in 2022, Rachel Liu, as she likes to go by. Former Bruin Galdiano at 8, and Brianna Doe, also a Bruin, at 7. Definitely within reach of Fall. Let's go back to 16 green and watch this birdie par putt here from Kaufman right down the hill. Should be quick. Probably not much movement in this. Grain is a huge factor here out in the desert. These greens are Tiff-Dwarf Bermuda, so especially on these short putts, reading it and then factoring in the grain and the wind, especially on these short putts. Good par there. We're great up and down from that short-sided right dicey side. Now Sun for her par. For her, those are one of those round momentum saving putts. Making a par from there, especially on a short hole like this. Even though it's short, it is playing hard, but having a wedge or a 9 in your hand, you'd hate to make a bogey. Another par there for Sun. This course was designed in 2007 by Randy Heckenkemper to flow seamless with the terrain and desert foothills. It's way more forgiving than its sister course, the Stadium. Let's head over here to 18 green. Par 5. This pin is very difficult today on this finishing hole. There's a little finger, as you can see, on the left side of their green, 4 off the left. Yesterday, this played really short. However, they moved the tee back today. It's playing 516, also into the wind. So I'm not sure who's getting there today. It's a pretty demanding layup. They got to lay up short of a bunker with water a little left to this skinny finger that's only 16 on, but 6 paces long, 4 from the left. As you can see, that little finger over there in the water short. It's only a wedge, but having a short wedge with these firm greens, you have to be really precise. This is probably the smart play where she's putting from. Probably has 25 feet or so back down the hill. This is all speed here. Looks like it's Williamson here for her putt. Almost made it. Looks like she might have left it right in the gut. Now we have Gigi Stoll for her putt. Took more of an aggressive line and was able to hold it on this little finger. This should be just back down the hill, maybe go to her right slightly. There is a huge valley effect in Scottsdale. You can definitely see it. Everything breaks away from these mountains. Sounds like that was a bogey from Gigi Stoll. This is a here for Williamson, short. Tap that in. Williamson shot even today, finishing at 3 under for the tournament. Gigi Stoll was 2 under on her round today, putting her at 5 under for the tournament. Let's go back to 18 fairway. Where we have Emily Hoffman and Samantha Beaudry. Samantha had a great first round, but since then has cooled off. She's 3 over on her round today, Samantha is. Probably just 2 layups here. Playing 516 into the wind. These girls probably will not be able to this pin. Not sure it's the smartest move either, with 2 bunkers guarding the front edge as a penalty area as well. Emily Hoffman also in this group is even par today, putting her at 3 under for the tournament. She shot a 64 second round. yesterday to get her well inside the cut line. Both of these players will have wedges coming in to this green for their third shots. Again, this par 5 playing a lot harder today than it has the last 2 days. We saw a couple eagles here the last couple days. This pin is tucked way left on a little finger that's only 16 on, but 6 paces wide or deep on that left side. With as firm as these greens are, hitting a wedge in that little finger is a tough task. As you can see, all the different contours on this green. You can see that water there. Can't really see the bunker, but there's a bunker just short of the screen. From this layup, should only be 60, 70 yards from where they are. They want to lay back far enough where they can get some spin if they want to go at this pin or have any chance at all to stop it on that little finger over there. Looks like it might be Emily Hoffman here first to play. Emily should only have about 60, 70 yards left for her third. A lot of thought coming into this wedge. Looks like picking a target, even if wedges, is really important, especially when you don't have much room to land it. Typically, players like to aim fat side, where it gives you a lot more room for error, especially if it happens to jump or skid on this screen. Playing a little right of this would be the proper target. Hoffman sure is taking her time over this wedge. Down here in these trees, wind could be swirling as well. Back to 16 green here. Looks like we might have Amanda Dougherty. She's got to go up over this slope and then back down the hill. This is her birdie attempt. Don't see many in the flag much these days, as now we can leave the pins in without penalty. This putt will be fast as it gets towards the hole. Dougherty for birdie. Looks good. Just missed there. Looks like good speed though. Putting downhill downwind, that was really fast. Zhang also has a birdie attempt. Zhang is even on her round. She was probably paying pretty good attention to Dougherty's line there as her ball passed. Again, very similar line, downhill, downwind, quick as it starts to get towards the hole. Zhang shot a 66 in her second round. She is even today. Taking her time over this birdie putt. With this weather and the race to the card, every single putt matters and is costly and expensive. These girls are fighting for their life. Their livelihood, their life, their week. Everything counts. Looks like she might have missed just high there. Tap in par. The pressure that these young ladies feel trying to make it to the PGA day in, day out, everything is so much pressure. Typically, the first thing these players will think about after their round to improve upon the next day is they'll go over their stats and then they'll evaluate how they can. Typically, putting stats is the most important thing. That the number one tour is 3 putt avoidance. So really, that dialing in their speed and making sure their speed's in a good place is a really priority for these girls. As we saw there, her looks like she had a little tester coming back, 6-footer, good par for Dougherty. Dougherty, former Seminole, Florida State Seminole. Let's go back to 18 fairway. We have Hoffman here. This is her third shot. She's waiting to go. Has a medal. Must have been in trouble off the tee. With this pen, she has to take this right of it. Have any chance. She did not like that. The amount of time she took over that shot would seem a lot of uncommitment there. Looks like she hit that to the right. It's her hand falling off the club, a little wipey. But definitely a much better miss as she has the whole green to work with now. We'll be right back with more on GK Live TV.
Head down, water down the left, bunker down the right, take the club straight back.
Wandering minds.
When golfers lose their focus, they're totally...
War! But Bridgestone can help.
Introducing Mindset. The ball's scientifically designed to keep you focused.
First, identify your target.
Next, visualize your shot path.
And then focus on the green dot and smooth one.
Play the new Tour B with Mindset technology.
You see what happens when we work together? Stuff like that.
Now we're back here on 18 with Beaudry. Back at TPC Scottsdale, the Champions course. Most of you know of TPC Scottsdale, the stadium where they play the Waste Management every February. However, this is the sister course, the Champions course, a new venue here on the Epson Tour. 72 playing 6,400 yards today. This is the largest purse the Epson Tour history. 500 race for the card points. Really is cool that the Epson is and Carlisle company is committed to supporting this event for more years to come, at least through 2026. It's the biggest purse ever. Really cool for the Epson Tour. Really cool for these young ladies having more money at stake. It's really important that these companies and just golf are making investment into women's sports and women's golf, especially really helps them out. When you have compared to the PGA Tour, really cool that these girls are getting some attention and a little more money from these companies. What a great time for women's golf. Nelly Korda on her win streak. She's in contention again up in New Jersey. A great time to be a woman. What great time to play women's college golf, junior golf. The game is trending in such a great direction for women. Looks like we have Vaudry in the bunker, front bunker. This is not going to be an easy shot at all, as she's got to carry a little bit where she's standing there, a swale that could run back to the water, and then has to carry it up over that ridge to that finger that's only 6 paces deep. Probably only a 40, 50, 60-yard shot here. And us golfers know that we do not like that 40, 50, 60-yard bunker shot, especially into a narrow green. So much could happen. So many different ways to play this shot. So much could go wrong. It's so easy to thin this, chunk this. So typically, to the most room for error here is to take something and run it up. However, she cannot do that. She's got to fly it all the way to the pin. I think the smart play here would be taking it 15 paces right of this pin and just playing to the fat and give herself a birdie chance instead of taking on this finger. Looks like Hoffman's going to play first from the left. More of a pitch back up to this finger. Now we got Vaudry playing here for her third. I don't think this is worth the risk going at this finger. Like I said, I think the smart play would be 15 paces right of this pin, give her a birdie chance instead of bringing in short, long, big numbers, especially here on 18 in the third round of this event. We want to move forward on this Saturday, not backwards. See which kind of shot she plays. Looks like she hit a really good one, landing it just short. Should release just right of the pin. That was an A+ shot there from Vaudry. Take that every day, twice on Sunday. Let's head back over to 16 green. For birdie, we have Zhang. Looks about 20 feet or so back up the hill. Was a great shot in here. Just pin high left. She probably hit something really high to have this stopped where it is. Again, Zhang for birdie here. Looks like she left it just short. Putting back up at the hill into the grain could have a factor there. Zhang for her par now. Should only be 2 feet or so. Handled that nicely. Ashley Lau here for her par. Looks to be 2.5 feet or so, but down the hill, could be going to her left. A little bit of a slider. Taking her time. Much shorter than 2 feet. Good par there for Ashley. She's 1 over on her round today. As you can see, that wind is still whipping and will continue to whip this afternoon. Gusts up to 23 miles an hour out of the west today. Feels like a hot out there today. Let's head back to 18 fairway. Back to 18 fairway here. Sue O is hitting her 3rd shot here first. Sue O just coming off a bogey on 17. Getting ready for her 3rd shot. Coming in this skinny green. Looks like she might be taking dead aim here. As you can see, this skinniness, this little finger where this pin is sitting, Only 6 to 8 paces deep. This camera is sitting left side of the green, so when they're looking at this in the fairway, it looks like there's nothing sitting over there. Looks like he's just short there on the green. This is Kim Kaufman hitting her third. We have a birdie putt upcoming here. Around 35 feet or so. Looks there. Looks like she will be playing again for her putt. Kaufman here for her par. Sue O's wedge shot must have been really close for her to still be in her par putt. Good par there for Kaufman. 4 feet or so. Now Sue O for her birdie. Should be straight up the hill. Pretty putt. 2.5, 3 feet for her birdie. Go for birdie. It's a good, easy birdie there. Great way to finish your round. Always felt nice ending on a birdie. Back in the fairway, we have Young and Sun. Madison Young, the race for the card leader, and Jazz Sun. Looks like Jazzy is walking towards that hazard on the left, looking intently. That is not a good layup there if she's in the hazard. With as wide as this fairway, you have to take that hazard out of play. The best players in the world, their course management is really sharp. Laying up and not challenging hard spots like when you don't need to is crucial, especially out here on the Epson. Looks like we have Madison playing her second into this par 5. She might be giving it a go. The play here is definitely right. There's a bunker that we cannot see short of this green, and then the hazard on the left. Looks like sun is fine. Let's go back to 16 green where we have 2 really nice shots into this green. We have Fulham and Antonia Malate. Antonia Malate just coming off playing at San Jose State. I had the pleasure to coach her last fall. She is an excellent ball striker. She reigns from Monterey Bay, grew up playing on the treasured Pebble Beach, Monterey Peninsula, Spanish Bay. Very, very lucky girl. Until he hits the ball very high and far, so she probably had a pitching wedge here that she could just launch up the wind and let the wind beat it up and land it softly onto the screen. Looks like we have Fatlam going first for her birdie. Should only be 12, 15 feet back down the hill, going to her right slightly. This is one of those hard putts where it breaks a lot in the beginning. You have to play it high enough where it almost plays back up the hill before it has to come back down. So getting the speed and linking it with the line is really hard on these left to right sliders. So let's see if she can link these up for her short birdie here. And she did. Great putt there from Fatlam. 6 under for the tournament, 4 under on her day. Excellent round going here for Fatlam. Now, Malate putting for her birdie. Just inside that, probably 8 feet here. Line, maybe a little more uphill going to her right. Malate needs this putt here. She's 2 over on her round today. This is a great opportunity to get one back. And there we go. Birdie for Antonia. Now she gets back to 4 under for the tournament. Now we're back in 16 fairway. We've got Shin and Miranda Wang. We're back on 16 fairway. Again, this hole is playing 376 dead into the wind. The wind this afternoon gusts up to 23 miles an hour, straight out of the west. This is one of the shorter holes, as they be hitting driver off the tee because there's desert that cuts this fairway in half. So the longer players probably only hitting a wood. We have Bishan and Miranda Wang in this group. Rangefinders are allowed on the Epson Tour to speed up pace of play, and some of the courses they play might not have very good yardage markers in their fairways. Being able to use a rangefinder is good and bad. I think sometimes rangefinders take the process of coming to a yardage out of play, as with a marker fairway, you calculate the middle and calculate front and back. In this case, this pin's only 6. Knowing that these girls only have 6 yards to play with is really important information to know. So talking that over with your caddy. Historically, stats say that amateurs and young professionals come up 65% short to front pins, especially with the wind dead into you. Short is not bad here. However, the wind could soften it on these greens, especially with only 9 or 8 coming in here. Looks like we have Miranda going to play first. Wind must be gusting. She's switching here, looks like. Being really committed to a shot with the wind is tough. That's what makes playing in gusty winds, especially here in Phoenix, really hard. Second shot here at 16. Looks like she tried to play something flighted into this pin, and she landed just well in its the back. That is going to be a very fast putt. Been completely in between clubs there. Looks like as you can see, the flag stopped moving. She might have felt the gust, and then it completely died, resulting in her being long. The difficulties of playing in the wind. Now we have Miranda Wang hitting, again looking flighted. Especially in the wind, you'd rather 100% committed on the wrong club versus not committed on the right club. Looks like a flighted shot. The wind looks like it stopped according to this pin. Again, for her, just a little bit long. There's a little bit of a backstop there. She's using the slip with a wedge. She was able to get a good spin on that. That's a good shot there for Bishan. These last 3 holes, 16, 17, 18, are all back into the teeth of the wind as it comes back to the clubhouse. So they should be getting used to this wind action by now. Wing's going to have a really tough 2-putt here from the back of the green, coming up and over that left slope there, as you can see. Back on 15 green, we have Gabby Thin and Michaela Finn. Looks like Gabby chipping from left side over there. Looks like Michaela's long as well. Looks like Michaela's is back into the wind ever so slightly, which looks like she's actually going to putt this. Just show how firm these greens are. When the greens are firm again, it's really hard to really rely on spin, even on this Bermuda, with these greens being really pure and the grain not making much of an effect. She's going to putt this from about 15 feet off the green. This pin is 27 on, 3 from the right. She only has 3 yards here to work with. Really short-sighted. Big mistake there off the tee. But looks like it's okay leave. Putting back up the hill into the wind. But has a little bit left here for her par, which is going to be a great up down for Finn. Now Gabby Finn for her par. Former Trojan and national champion Gabby Finn. Back to 16 green, we have B. Shin and Miranda Wang for their birdie putts. Looks like B. Shin will be going first. For them, let's head back to 18. Sorry about that. We're going to stay here on 16. As Bishan lines up her 40-foot plus putt here, back down the hill, moving a lot to her right. The good news is here she's putting slightly uphill, so if she just gets it to where her caddy's standing, it should feed right down to the pin. Putting downwind is a lot harder than it sounds. Typically, most people don't really consider the wind when they're putting. However, in Phoenix, especially, it makes a huge impact on speed. Miranda is taking her time over this putt. This is all. You can see a little bit of the grain change there with the dark green on the far side of the green. This is down grain, downhill, downwind, very fast. She has to keep this left going down that slope. Any chance. The biggest separator probably in the world, the Epson Tour ones that are trying to make it to the top, it's probably putting and speed. As it gets to this point, it should just release down the hill. She's going to have a good 10 feet left for her par, it looks like. But she left it on the right side, like coming back. Now we have B. Shin for her birdie. B. Shin should have got a nice read there. off Miranda's putt over her line as we saw her move the coin. This will be fast and moving to her right. And downhill. Those are the mountains we talked about earlier with the valley effect. Everything typically feeds away from the mountains, so moving to her right ever so slightly. Beach in for her birdie attempt. She did not like that. Looks like she left it right in the teeth. It's a par for Shin. Now Miranda Wang for her par after putting from 40, 50 feet back down the hill. This would be a great two-putt. One that the stats say you should not two-putt. Barely clouds in the sky here at TPC Scottdale Champions Course. Beautiful day, 90 degrees. Just a little gusty. Miranda Wang for her par putt. And it just is there. That'll be a bogey for Miranda Wang. Look at that flag stick now. That is gusting. We have Michaela Finn here on 16T. She's hitting him 3 metal. Yeah, definitely a shorter hole. They're not hitting drivers off this tee today. Only need something about 220, 230, depending on how much their rollout is and the height of their ball. Michaela hitting a 3-wood there. Back to 18 fairway here for her third shot. We have a little bit of a delay here on 18. We play up some able to go for it depending on the wind. I spoke with Emma Talley this morning, saying that the course has changed drastically over the last couple of days, firming up from the beginning of the week. So I have to take into account your landing spots, roll out, and these pin positions. These pins today are tucked. This one's 4 from the left on this little finger, just 6 paces deep. Looks like the wind's protected here a little bit. Flag's not moving too much. Players might get there today how firm fairways are. The 16 fairway. We have Michaela Finn. She's staring it down. Looks like there. Wait for them to walk up. Let's head back 8 fairway. 18 fairway, we have Ashley Lau hitting her second shot into this green, this par 5. And I don't think it's quite gettable today unless it gets some roll. Looks like that just rolled off the back. Just show how firm this fairway is. That probably rolled a good 50 yards into the wind. Par 5s, you have to think you're leaving yourself. Long right here might not be great. Chipping back down towards this pin where Ashley's ball ended up. She might have to get creative there. Take a break now, but we'll be back with more action from TPC Scottdale at the Carlisle Women's Golf Classic. Back to TPC Scottsdale, we have Gabby Thin hitting her third shot. Sorry, this is Shayla here, chipping for par, for birdie, I mean. She leaves herself 2 feet down the hill. We have Gabby Thin just right of the pin on the fringe, looks like. She's hitting this like she might make it. With the wind gusting back into you in the fairway and this pin only being 6 on, it's really hard to get that spot correct, as you don't want to fly in high. A lot of them are, doesn't look like landing it short or hopping up either. Just challenges of playing a really firm Phoenix course. That is a stadium course, and how fast getting them moving. this time of year out here. Now we have Gabby then her birdie. Looks like she's decided to putt it. Should move a little bit to her left. She's got to get the speed right coming through this fringe. Slow, easy spin for Gabby. Should be easy for Gabby. Good par for Gabby. Have Michaela Finn to finish up for her par. A little bit of a knee knocker down the slope on wind. Should be pretty straight. Just has to get it started on line. Michaela taking her time. 3, 4 knee knocker. She's really quick. You see a lot from this spot today. A bogey there for Michaela Finn. Putting her at 2 over on the day. 3 under the tournament. Still in the top 30 though. This looks like Rachel Liu here. Looks like this is Dottie for her second into 16. Very smooth swing there. Everyone's heard the phrase, when it's breezy, swing easy. Right. And that's what collection area would be a very Kaufman use her hybrid. Looks like we have Rachel Liu here into 16. Shut down. Great shot for Liu there. Great shot into the wind. That's the best one of the day so far. chance for Rachel Liu here. Former winner. Rachel won in 2021 in a playoff versus Rose Zhang at 17 under. Rose Zhang is in contention over in New Jersey on the LPGA, the Cognizant Founders Championship. Rose Zhang was an amateur when she played in the playoff with Rachel here in 2021. Rachel is playing this week on the Epson, but she does have her full LPGA card. As we see so many of them play on off weeks or weeks they don't get into play to keep sharp each week. When Rachel won this tournament in 2021, it was at Longbow, just down the road. Very similar desert style course. Desert golf is very unique and can feel very claustrophobic and confining off the tee. This course isn't super narrow off the tee. As you can see, there is rough, but Longbow much more narrow off the tee and no rough. So fairway goes right into the desert. Let's see what Dottie Ardina plays over here from this collection area. We saw Kim Kaufman use her hybrid from this spot. Let's see. Looks like she just is deciding to go up with this with a wedge. But I think she still has to land this short. And you see it just release. Very, very hard shot. Not a great miss over there. As I was saying earlier, the course management is a huge role in the success of the best players. Missing right there to a short-sided pin with a downslope was very penalizing. A lot of the amateurs and junior golfers I work with like to emphasize fat side, playing to the chunk part of the green that's you have way more room, and centering your dispersion pattern where you could miss right or left and still be fine and not have a shot like that. For all the amateurs listening, that's a great way to shave shots off your round. Just picking a more conservative shot, target into these greens, especially as firm as they are in the wind. Anything can happen when the ball gets up. It may sound like you're playing a lot smarter or safer, but in reality it's smarter because you're giving yourself more chance for birdie and limiting shots like that where the closest you're going to get is, 20, 25 feet. So Dottie here for her par attempt. Should be a little bit of a slower putt back up the hill, moving to her right. Should be back into the green slightly, as you can see how shiny it is from this angle. Hopefully that bird did not distract her there. Looks like she left that just short. Should be a bogey here for Dottie. Yeah, right in the heart. Now we have a birdie attempt here for Rachel Liu. After we saw her excellent shot into this. Rachel is 1 under on her today, 7 under for the tournament, tied 6 at the moment. This would be a huge putt to get her solo 5th. Should be quick though, moving to her right. We've seen this putt a lot today. Just missed there. A little high. That'll be a tap in par there for Rachel. Dottie dropping one. Not a lot of under par scores this afternoon. These pins and mixed with this wind, pars are good, especially on this closing stretch with some of these pin locations. Sometimes people say that desert golf plays similar to link style with the firmness in the route. You hit a perfect drive, but it could catch a slope in the fairway and just run right into the desert. Now we're back here on 15T. We have Brianna Doe here playing her first on 15, the par 3. Yardage today is 155. Wind howling out of the left. Pin is 27 on, 3 from the right. She has to land this short to prevent any release going over. Be 6 or 7 iron here for Brianna. And looks like it's heading right. She does not like that. This camera right here is behind the green. As you can see that she cannot go at this pin. Now we have Kendra Dalton, former BYU Cougar, for her shot. Kendra is an incredible ball striker. However, last year she had to get refit through the 3D gear system, the new thing out for the instructional pros, and learned that her clubs were extremely upright. So she bent them and has transformed her game this year. One of the hardest workers I've ever coached against. She should only have probably 8 iron. She's one of the longer hitters. She's watching it. She took a very aggressive line there, just long, but she should be able to be fine there. Putting back into the wind a little bit as it's off our right here and down. Really pays to be a longer player these days, as we see it on the PGA Tour and the LPGA. Kendra's one of the longer players, so she could take a more aggressive line, probably with an 8 iron with that pin versus Brianna with a 6 or 7, not being able to go at that pin and hold it. But with Kendra's strength and height, she could take it more at that pin and not let it release too far over there. Kendra had 3 wins in college. 1 at Haylee in Seattle, where the women's PGA will be in the next couple years. Malate and Fatlam, they're finishing their round on 18. Let's head back to 16. Wow, wait. We have another player here in this collection area. This is Hannah Levi Armour. A recently married Hannah. Changed her last name last year. Not a bad shot there. Probably has 13 feet or so for her par. She's playing alongside Lindsay McCurdy. Looks like McCurdy will have a birdie chance here. Just above the hole. Players seem to be using this little bit of a backstop here behind this pin to soften it as it lands. However, this is an extremely fast putt. Shouldn't have much movement in it. Just has to get it started on line as it rolls down this hill. She gets it started on line. It should be hard to go offline with the way this grain is working and just the downhill. Lindsay's 2 over on round today. Just coming off a birdie on 14. 5 under for the tournament. Good try there for Lindsay. Should be a easy tap in par there. We gotta love those tap ins for par on a day like today. Looks like Lindsay's gonna clean it up. Let's head over to 15 green for Kendra Dalton's birdie putt from off the green. Should be fairly slow through this fringe. Again, this pin is only 3 from the edge here, so not much room to work with. She's going to mark for her par. Doesn't look far, though. Now we have Brianna Doe for her par after her chip from short right. Brianna Doe, UCLA Bruin for her par. Has lots of experience here in the desert. In college, UCLA hosts an event in the desert each year. It's a great par there for Brianna Doe. Now Kendra Dalton to clean up her par. Back to 18 green here. We have Miranda Wang and B. Shin. Miranda Wang is hitting her 4th shot from the bunker. As you can see the release of that and how fast that is. This bunker is the one we do not want to be in, the 30, 40 yard bunker shot. As us golfers know, with force carry is the hardest shot in golf. Especially under the circumstances with this pin sitting so tucked over here, 4 from the right. Where this pin is only 6 paces deep. So we have B. Shin here lining up her birdie while Miranda figures out what she's going to do from just long. Now Miranda's left herself in an even tougher spot, chipping downwind and down grain. This will be tough to get close. Another part of thinking through your misses and course management is thinking about where you're chipping from in relation to the wind, especially on conditions like this, on a course like this where wind is so important. Should be a pretty good birdie chance here for B Shin whenever she does go. Miranda might have had to take a drop from the stands back there. She's a good 10 paces off this green. Chipping downwind, down grain, downhill will be really hard for her to be able to put spin on this. She has to land this short of the green and roll it up to have any chance of it getting close. There's her chip there. Pretty good from back there, about 6-7 feet for her par. Now B Shin for her birdie. This should be pretty straight right back up the hill. Not much to it. B Shin needs this putt as she's 6 over on her day. She's fallen all the way back to 1 over for the tournament. Could be why she's taking a little bit extra time over this. And she missed. Par there for B Shin. Now we have Miranda Wang to finish up her round today. Around 6 feet or so, moving a little bit to her left. I always thought it was tough to read greens in the desert. Sometimes you get too caught up in the valley effect that you read too much into it. But it should be the last thing you consider if you're in between. It shouldn't affect it much, but maybe a millimeter or two depending on the length. About 6 feet here for Miranda Wang. There's a good par there for Miranda. Complete her round. Back to 15T, we have Riley in the all red. Riley was committed to Georgia back in the day, but decided to turn pro. Big Georgia fan from Georgia. This hole's playing 155 today, win out of the left. She should have a 7-iron. Big swing at it. Wind quartering a little more down at the moment, making this a lot harder and really more important to consider your landing area on this pin, as it is all the way back 27 on, 3 from the right. This camera is behind the looks like she was going a little left there, which leaves herself with a little green to work with. Now we have Kate Smith Stroh for her approach, 115. She likes it. Looks like Kate Smith might be left as well. Kate's ended up just short. We're going to take a quick break now, and we'll be back with more action from TPC Scottdale.
Head down. Water down the left, bunker down the right. Take the club straight back.
Wandering minds.
When golfers lose their focus, they're totally...
War! But Bridgestone can help.
Introducing Mindset. The ball's scientifically designed to keep you focused.
First, identify your target.
Next, visualize your shot path.
And then focus on the green dot and smooth one.
Play the new Tour B with Mindset technology.
You see what happens when we work together? Stuff like that.
Welcome back to the Carlisle, Arizona Women's Golf Classic, TPC Scottdale on the Champions Course, the sister course to the famous stadium where they host the Waste Management each year. We have Kate Smith just short, chipping, and Riley Reynolds on the left side of the green. Putt for her birdie. Looks like Kate will be going first. Shouldn't be too hard of a chip here. She has a little bit of green to work with. It could land. There's a little bit of a swale right in front of this pin that she could land it and soften the release. However, she is chipping downwind, which she has to consider. It looks like her chip, pretty good chip, just a little bit short. Riley Reynolds next for her birdie, probably 35 feet or so from the left side of the green. Riley Reynolds wearing all red for moving day in hopes to bring on some more birdies. Riley is 2 over on her day, still 7 under for the tournament in T6. Like we said earlier, scores are not low today, so typically when it's playing hard like this, in your mind, players raise par in their brains as to help their mental approach and not be too hard on themselves when it's tough. A good score today, even par, 1 over will not kill you. Round of the day so far is 2 under from the whole field. Just shows how much this wind and the firmness is affecting. Riley, 35, 40 feet for her birdie attempt. Back up the hill. Should the hill, but also up valley as the mountains are to our left. Not great speed there from Reynolds. That was downwind. Just shows how important it is to consider the wind, even with putting. Something that most of us probably don't consider on the greens. But in Phoenix, it is a huge aspect. If you're an amateur out there listening and you're playing in windy conditions, consider wind when you're putting downhill. It should add a little bit extra roll little extra release to your longer putts, mostly over 20 feet or so. But I've always noticed it has a much more effect in the desert for some reason. Runnel with 10, 12 feet left for her score. This should be actually a straight putt. That's going to be a disappointing 3-putt from Runnel. So that puts her at 3 over on her round. And tie for 8 with a group of 5 others at 6 under. Now we have Kate Smith-Stroh for her par after chipping from short of the green. Should only have 2 or 3 feet left. Kate is not having a great day. 5 over on her round. No bogey, no birdies. 5 bogeys. And she shot a 65 in the first round. That just tells you how difference changed. That's a good par there for Kate. Good up and down. Let's take a look at the leaderboard and we'll show you how hard it's playing right now. Again, we said 2 under is the round of the lowest round so far. Dana Fall started the day in the lead. She's 2 over. Michelle Zhang with one of the low rounds of the day, tied for the lead. Marielle Galdiano 1 under and Kum Kang also 1 under at 10. Let's go back to 18. We have Gabby Finn here and Michaela Finn. Gabby's putting first. Gabby's par putt here on 18 to finish her round. Not a great day for Gabby. 7 over on her round today. That's if she makes this par putt that she did. Good par there. Veteran here on the Epson Tour. Played on the LPGA last year. Finishing with Michaela Finn, who shot 3 over today. Let's go back to 15T. And we have Pauline Derzaro and Maddie McRae. Looks like Del Rosario will be going first. Should be a 7-iron for Pauline. Back pin cannot land this further than pin high. Might be heading slightly left here. Now Maddie McCrary for her tee shot on 15. Again, we see her with the rangefinder and how sometimes that takes part of the process out of play when you're with a caddy. A back number would be really crucial here to know how much you have behind it, considering there's only 3 behind it and 3 from the right. With the way this wind is quartering right now, kind of off their left shoulder, helping off the left, they have to land this middle of the green and take into account some of the release. You see she's got 2 clubs. Waiting to the last second to pull the trigger with what the wind's doing. She should also have a 7-iron. Playing 155. Probably only 145 adjusted with the wind and landing. Looks might be left as well. Back over to 17T. We have Anna Doe hitting her approach tee shot on 17. Par 3. You see Gabby Thin and Shayla, who both had tough days. Gabby more so, signing their cards. It's really easy to go through the motions in there, like we talked about earlier, and not focusing and signing correctly, ended up with a DQ or something worse. But after a round 7 over, 6 over, with the wind and the conditions, how exhausting it is playing in the wind, they really need to focus and make sure they go through their card and have the numbers correct. A day like today, with the wind being up, pins being tucked, shooting higher scores, you could really feel defeated and obviously exhausted. And I think considering everything and taking into account all that and getting rest, sometimes the best thing to do is just rest on a day like today when, you know, she could have been so close some of these shots and got a bad bounce or got gusted. Like sometimes you don't play as bad as your score shows when it's in the wind, and how close you could be with just gusty firmness. Let's go back to 16T for Reynolds and Stroh momentarily. It's easy to get defeated on a day like today, shooting 7 over, seeing the scores really high, but just remember that it's exhausting and the conditions are hard for everybody. Knowing that you have one more day to come back, and these girls will be playing a little earlier tomorrow, so hopefully they could have a little bit softer greens. Back on 15 green, we have Del Rosario and McCrary. Looks like McCrary will go first for her par. It's about 4 feet back up the hill. That's a disappointing 3-putt there. We just saw Reynolds do that from a very similar position. Now we have Del Rosario putting for her par from also the left side of the green. Let's see if she can make a par. A good 2-putt. Yep, that's a good par. Back on 18 green, we have Dottie Ardina and Rachel Liu. Dottie chipping from the collection area just in front. She's going to putt this actually from off the fringe. We've seen a lot of that today, putting from the edges. This is for birdie for Dottie. Just short there. 2.5, 3 feet short of the par 5 18. The firmness today, yesterday we saw this hole playing a lot shorter. Today, you have to hit the perfect 3-wood in order to get close. However, it is doable. That's a par for Dottie Ardina to finish her round today. Rachel has a short putt here to finish her round. This is also for par. It's crazy the difference in how this hole was playing the first 2 days and today. We had multiple eagles the first 2 rounds and barely any birdies today, but that's a great par there from Rachel to finish her round. That puts Rachel at -7 for the tournament. Dana Fall just made a birdie on the 12th hole to take the lead back over Michelle Zhang at 12 under. We'll see her in a few holes. Let's go back to 16 green, where we have Riley Rennell and Kate Smith-Stroh. That was a short putt miss there. It had to have been 2 feet. That's going to be really disappointing to walk away with a bogey. Riley's also got a short putt here for par. She should be able to handle this one. Sometimes in the afternoon, around 5, 6 o'clock, the wind might start to die down for our leaders as they come through these holes. As you can see, the flag isn't moving quite as much as it was earlier. Let's go back to 15T. Where we have Michelle Zhang. This is Michelle Zhang. She played at SMU. Graduated last year. She's a rookie this year. She's only 1 back. Michelle has one of the low rounds of the day at 2 under. Had the lead for a hot minute before Dana's birdie. She hits. Oh, looks like she hits it just long where we saw Dalton. Not a bad leave there. Should be able to make par from there. We've seen more pars from there than any other spot on this hole so far. Next we have Marielle Galdiano. Marielle, a Bruin, a native of Hawaii. Marielle probably is hitting a 7-iron. Take that back. She is hitting a 9-iron. Meaning the wind has definitely died down and switched a little bit more down than left. But she also probably saw Michelle's approach land and roll over, so she might have taken a little less club to prevent rolling off the back as well. Galdiano from 155. She's watching it. Classic veteran move there. Green for Marielle. Great shot. Let's go to 16 fairway, where we have Rosario and McCrary. Del Rosario hitting her second shot now into 16 green. Looks like she might have a little longer than earlier this morning, probably 150 into this pin. We've seen a lot of players try to flight this in. As you see, McCrary's ball looking pretty there. Looks like Del Rosario just left on the fringe. We've seen a lot of players flight the ball in this hole where it's into the wind, where you want to. The main goal when you're hitting into the wind is starting the ball in line and keeping it. Any shot that has some sort of spin, if you hook it, the wind's just going to exaggerate it. So flighting it sometimes helps players hit it a little bit straighter, a little smoother of a swing, and sometimes can go lower. Back to 16T. We have McCrary hitting here, her tee shot on 16. Hitting only a 3 wood today. As we said, only need about 220, 230 off this tee. Looks like she pushed that pretty good though. We have McCrary. Del Rosario will be putting first from the left side of the green for birdie. Putting back up the hill. This should be more of a slower putt. Back up the hill into the grain. Wind might not be a factor here. We've seen a lot of players come up short, as she just did. Probably a good 6-7 feet short there. Could have been the grain there. Could have been the fringe. Sometimes I think it's easier chipping just off the edge if you're really confident. You don't have to take the fringe into account. You can just chip it right over it. However, with the firm greens, it is hard to predict how it will react. Now McCrary for her birdie. Quick down the hill slider. McCrary needs some help today. She's 4 over on her day. 500 for the tournament. T12. This would catapult her into the top 10. Let's see if she can match her line and break here. And she did. Great birdie there for McCrary. Might only be the second one of the day here on 16. Back to 18. We've got Kendra Dalton. Kendra Dalton for birdie. This will get Kendra to 1 over on the day. This would keep her in contention going into tomorrow. A great way to finish her round here on 18. Just missed. It's a tap-in par there for Kendra. Kendra won 3 times in college, started as a walk-on, and ended up junior and senior year player of the year in the West Coast Conference. Excellent job. This is Hannah Levi Armour putting. Levi Armour here for birdie. Sorry, for par. Just missed. That's a bogey there. Bummer to end your day with a bogey. Let's go back to 15T. Our leaders are on their way to 15T. Let's head back to 15T. We have Cumcake Park and Clarice Gousset in this group. Cumcake Park is 2 under on her round today in second place, tied second. Dana Fall made another birdie, looks like, and she has the lead now over Cumcake Park and Michelle Zhang by 2. Dana is back to even. She started the day with a 2-shot lead, and now she's back with a 2-shot lead. We will see her in the next group as we wait for Park and Gousset. "90-degree day here in Scottsdale. Wind blowing out of the west on this 155-yard par 3. The tees moved up today. The last 2 days, they played much longer. First round 173. So 155 to a back pin. Much more manageable with this wind. As we head up on our second to last group here, Kum Kang Park and Clarice Gousset taking their sweet time. Looks like it will be Kum Kang to go first. Kum Kang did not play in college. She turned professional. She's from Korea, South Korea. Looks like 8-iron here for Kum Kang Park. Probably want to hit this like 140, 145 yards today. Beautiful swing, but did not like that. Looks like she left that right, short and right. Now we have Clarice Gousset for her approach. Tee shot on 15. Clarice is from the Philippines. Probably only a 9-iron for her as we see how much speed she has. She's watching it. Looks like a good strike. She is also just short. We'll be right back with more on GK Live TV. Welcome back to the Carlisle, Arizona Women's Golf Classic here at TPC Scottdale on the Champions Course. Let's take a look at our leaderboard. We have Dana back on top after 2 birdies back-to-back on 12 and 13. She started the day with a 2-shot lead, and she's back with a 2-shot lead after losing it to Michelle Zhang a couple holes ago. We will see her shortly on the hole 15. As we can see, low round of the day is 2 under through the whole field. The course is playing a lot harder than it has the last 2 days. Pins are tucked, tees are back, wind is up. It is a dramatic Saturday here in Scottsdale. Let's head down to 16 fairway, where we have Michelle Zhang and Marielle Galdiano. Looks like Galdiano will be going first from the left side. Slightly tugged her tee shot. Like we talked about earlier, any kind of tilt on the axis of that spin on her ball, that ball's, if she's hooking it, the wind will exaggerate that hook. Marielle's 1 under on her day. Cannot afford a bogey here to stay in contention. Good leave there from the burn. Marielle's just on the front. Should be able to make par from there. Now back to the fairway where we have Michelle Zhang playing her approach from around 145, 150. Let's see what kind of shot she's going to play here in the 16. Michelle is 2 back. Low round of the day with Kum Kang Park at 2 under. In a full-on attack mode here. Great shot there from Michelle Zhang. Landed soft right on the front and rolled up to a good 12-footer for birdie. Great opportunity here on 16. This is Galdiano from a few minutes ago. We saw her hit this slightly left over in the burn. Let's head back to 15 green to see where Gousset and Park are. This is Gousset for her par putt. Park finished her par on this hole already. So she stays at 11 under. Now Gousset for her par to stay at 9. And 3 back from Dana Fall. Gousset taking her time over this. Should only be 2.5, 3 feet here for her par. Made it. Great par there. This last stretch of 4 holes, pars are playing like birdies today. Now back to 16T, we have Marielle Galdiano chip in the front. Great chip there, tap in par for her. As we saw her pull the wedge from the front instead of the putter. Much more easy to predict how it's going to come through the fringe if you just fly it over it. That would be a great par. Marielle, very used to chipping off Bermuda grass, being from Hawaii. Very, very grainy Bermuda in Hawaii. Now we have Michelle Zhang for her really close birdie attempt here on 16. We've only seen 1 birdie today on 16. This would be the second. Probably 13 feet, moving a good bit to her left. Michelle Zhang played her golf at SMU and is a rookie this year on the Epson Tour. We actually have 20 rookies in the field this week. 20 of the 48 rookies are playing this week. And 4 winners this year. Michelle taking her time, knowing how crucial each birdie putt and each putt in general is. It's funny, as golfers, we only remember the last couple holes of our round at the end of a tournament that cost us a win or a loss. But counts the same as Saturday. She missed that hard and high. Has 3 feet coming back for her par. That's one of those where the grain and the valley effect could have affected her speed there. As we see those mountains, everything breaks away from them, down towards the valley. Now Michelle has a 3-footer for her par after being overly aggressive on that birdie putt. Zhang for par. Good par there for Michelle. And she stays at 11 under, just 2 back from Dana Fall, our leader. Not able to clean up her par. Let's go over to 18. We have an eagle putt here for Kate Smith-Stroh. She's probably got 60, 70 feet here, up and down across the green. All speed here. If she can get this within 6, 7 feet, that would be a great putt. Typically, data from this distance says you should 3-putt this. So if she can 2-putt this, she'll be gaining shots not only on herself but on the field. These birds sure are not afraid of these golfers today. She also got gusted. Good for her to take the wind into account on this eagle putt. Should start to go left here and gain a little speed. Not bad there. Has about 10 feet left for her birdie. Right up the hill. Should be a very makeable birdie. Now Rennell for her eagle putt. First time today we've had 2 eagle putts on 18. Looks like a very similar position of where Stroh was. Just a little inside, but she got a good look on what Stroh's putt did. She can play this just a little higher than Stroh did. Should give it a good chance. It's got the speed. Good line as well. Looks might just be just a little long, but gave it a good run for Rennell. Let's go back to 15 green, where we have our leader, Dana Fall, and Swing Liu. As you see Dana fall in the blue shirt. Middle of the green. Looks like they both will have a birdie attempt here. We have Smith Stroh for birdie. 10 feet up the hill. Knew it right away she missed. Typically that's a sign of a bad stroke. When you know it right off the face, not a good stroke. That's Smith Stroh for her par. Now Rennell to clean up her birdie. Looks to be about 7 feet here for her birdie. She got a good look at what it did when it went past the hole. Back to 15 real quick. We have Dana Fall for her birdie putt. Our leader left that one well short. Back to Rennell for her birdie. Great birdie and a fist pump. Great finish there for Rennell. That puts Rennell in 7 under and well into the top 10. Back over here to 15 green. We have Swing Lou for her birdie putt. Swing Lou not having a great day today. Too many bogeys on the card. But she's a very streaky player. She can get hot really quick. Swing shot a 63 yesterday. So it could happen. Swing gave it a run. About a good 2.5 feet past. Should be fine for her par. Now let's see if Dana Fall can get this knee knocker in. She has a 2-shot lead. Dana's coming off two birdies to get back to the lead. 2-shot lead. Maybe a little nervy over that first putt, leaving it well short here. Back to 18 fairway real quick for Galdiano. Sorry, that was Del Rosario. Here's Dana Fall for her par. Made it. Good par there. That'll quiet all the nerves. Dana being only 5'1", doesn't hit it very far, but is a sniper with her irons in her short game. Let's see if Swing can get her par from 2.5 feet in. Par there for Swing. What a great name for golf. Swing. Swing Lou. Swing Lou, in her second year on tour, already has a victory. She won in 23 last year at the Firekeepers Casino Hotel Championship. This is Riley Rennell from earlier, as we saw her eagle putt. We'll be right back after a quick break with more action from TPC Scottdale.
Head down, water down the left, bunker down the right, take the club straight back.
Wandering minds.
When golfers lose their focus, they're totally...
Or, but Bridgestone can help.
Introducing Mindset. The ball's scientifically designed to keep you focused.
First, identify your target.
Next, visualize your shot path.
And then focus on the green dot and smooth one.
Play the new Tour B with Mindset technology.
You see what happens when we work together? Stuff like that.
Welcome back to the Carlisle, Arizona Women's Golf Classic. As we get down to our closing stretch with our leaders coming up, we have Maddie McCrary hitting her fourth shot from long. Her wedge came in really hot. One hopped over. Just an testament to how firm these greens actually are. Now she's made matters worse, chipping downwind an elevated green. We'll have to land this short in order for it to stop. Looks like she bounced that up. Really good shot there. To about 5 or 6 feet, just to the right. That would be a great par if she can get this in, knowing that she missed the green with a wedge. Maddie's 4 over on her day. Still in a tie for 11th though. We have Del Rosario for her par. Sorry, birdie putt for Rosario. We're back in 16 fairway with Swing Lou. Let's go back to 18 while we wait for Swing. Del Rosario for her birdie. Del Rosario is also 4 over on her day. Her and McCrary might be playing together again tomorrow, depending on how these last 2 putts drop. Only 6-7 feet back up the hill for Del Rosario. That'll be a par for Del Rosario to finish her round at 5 under in a tie for 11th. Now, McCrary to finish up her round with this par. This is one of those putts that you have to make after missing a fairway with a wedge. And she made it. Good par there, McCrary. Looks like those two will be playing together again tomorrow. Kum Kang Park just made a birdie on 16. Looks like Kum Kang is with 1 now. These two signing their scorecards and double checking, capping the day. Both will have a chance for a top 10 tomorrow as they sit at tied for 11th. Kum Kang Park is now 3 under on her round today for the low round of the day. With this purse being the biggest ever, tomorrow will bring a little bit more pressure knowing how much is riding on this week with the 500 points and also the $400,000 purse. Largest 50,000. Every dollar counts here. Point counts as these girls try to get to the end of the year in the top 15 for the race to the card. There's 500 points on the line tomorrow for the winner, as we saw last week. Madison Young, who was 48th in the rankings, won, which catapulted her to the top spot, overtaking Valerie Plata, who held the lead through 4 events this year. Very tight race, as this is really early in the year. Still want to bank points as many as possible. Madison Young played her golf at Kennesaw State. As we look back at the leaderboard, you see that Kum Kang Park has made a birdie and is within 1 of Dana Fall. Now we're back here on 16. Looks like Dana Fall has a birdie putt here. This will increase Dana's lead to 2. Back to 2. Her short game is what makes her game, according to her former coach, Ryan Potter. She doesn't hit it very far, but she's a sniper with her irons, and her short game is magic, he said. Let's see if she can match her read and line. It's going to start getting fast here. A little bit high. Should be an easy tap-in par for Fall. She's going to remain at 1 up at 13 under with 2 holes left. Now we have Swing Liu for her birdie, where we saw Michelle Zhang just putting from. This putt might be a little quicker than she thinks, as we saw Zhang rip it 4 feet by. Swing needs this. She's 6 over on her round today. Should be quick, moving just a little to her left. Standing over that, looking confused there. Should be able to handle this par putt. Swing for her par to stay at 6 over on the day, and a tie for 11th place. There's a par for Swing. She stays at 5 under for the event. Let's head back over to 18 green as we wait for Michelle Zhang and Marielle Galdiano come up. Looks like Michelle's left herself in a pretty good leave. A lot of green to work with. She could get creative with how to play this. This is her 3rd shot. She could go high, she could go low. Looks like she's going to go high by the swing. She still has to land this a little bit short and let it release to the back there and down the hill to the left. See where her ball ended up. She had options there. Looks like she went low and the ball skidded over the back. She is not going to be happy with that. I would have gone up with that. She had wind helping, which would have softened that landing, chipping high into the wind. Looks like she tried to flight it in there under the wind and get it over the back. Now Galdiano in the collection area could leave. Emma was telling me this morning that if you could get it to this spot, it's a really easy chip. Hill slightly into the grain, into the wind, but it is dicey because you have to carry that bunker that we cannot see and the hazard. But it's an uphill chip. It's very makeable, especially for someone with hands like Galdiano. This looks to be chipping for eagle. As you see how fast that is, she even landed that short. Just like we saw in 16, another tap in for Galdiano. Great short game she has. She's going to go ahead and finish that. That was actually for par to finish her round. As you see, she took the smart approach in leaving that short, even with a wedge, knowing that she could get that up and down probably 10 out of 10 times versus where Michelle Zhang is now, which is not the percentage chip. But as we saw, she's playing well, so probably felt a little juiced on that chip back there on her third and realized, oops. Now she's fighting for par. As a rookie, sometimes players go overly aggressive or they can get really nervous. Leave putt short, miss left. However, it looks like Michelle maybe going the overly aggressive route, being only 2 back of this lead. Saw McCrary chipping from this spot and got it within 5 feet, so it is doable. It looks like she's going to putt this. She went with the putter. And a pretty good lead there. 5 feet left for her par, right up the hill. Smart play there with the wind down. This will be a great par and a great way to end this excellent round for Michelle Zhang. What a great round today for the rookie Michelle Zhang. Making this putt will give her a lot of confidence after seeing scores when she gets off, checks her phones, how high they were. Great par. As they sign their scorecards here, we will be back tomorrow for another exciting round of golf on GK Live at the Carlisle, Arizona Women's Golf Classic at TPC Scottdale Champions Course. Join us tomorrow for the final action on GK Live.